The man sitting next to Sarah on Flight 2187 wasn't just any single father. He was the doctor who had saved her daughter's life 5 years ago, though neither of them realized it yet. Their chance meeting would change everything, proving that sometimes the universe has plans far greater than we could ever imagine. If you're touched by this story of fate and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true-life stories that remind us of the magic hiding in everyday moments. Sarah Matthews clutched her boarding pass with sweaty fingers, scanning the row numbers as she made her way down the narrow airplane aisle. Her 5-year-old daughter, Lily, trailed behind her, tiny hand gripping her mother's jacket. Row 14, seats A and B, Sarah muttered to herself, spotting their row. A man in a crisp blue button-down was already seated in the aisle seat, typing rapidly on his laptop. He glanced up briefly, offering a polite smile before returning to his work. "Excuse me," Sarah said, "we're in the window and middle." The man nodded, standing to let them through. As he moved into the aisle, Sarah noticed he was tall, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. There was something vaguely familiar about him, but she couldn't place it. "Thank you," she said, helping Lily into the window seat before settling herself in the middle. The flight attendant's voice crackled over the intercom, announcing their departure to Boston. "First time flying?" the man asked, noticing Lily's wide-eyed expression as she pressed her face against the window. "For her, yes," Sarah replied. "I'm Sarah, by the way. And this is Lily." "James," he said, extending his hand. "Nice to meet you both." As the plane taxied down the runway, Lily's excitement turned to fear. The roar of the engines made her whimper, and she clutched Sarah's arm. "It's okay, sweetie," Sarah soothed, but Lily's eyes filled with tears. James reached into his bag and pulled out a small stuffed elephant. "This is Ellie," he said, offering it to Lily. "She gets scared during takeoff too, but she's very brave. Maybe she can keep you company." Lily hesitated, then took the elephant, hugging it close as the plane lifted into the air. "Thank you," Sarah said, surprised by the gesture. "Do you have children?" James nodded. "A son, Max. He's 7. He's with his mother this weekend." "Ah," Sarah said, understanding in her voice. "Lily and I are on our own too." A flight attendant passed by, offering drinks. As Sarah reached for her wallet, her phone slipped from her pocket, photos spilling across the screen. James caught a glimpse of one, Lily in a hospital bed, much younger, tubes and monitors surrounding her tiny form. His expression changed, a flash of recognition crossing his features. "Boston Children's Hospital?" he asked quietly. Sarah looked up, startled. "Yes, how did you know?" "I'm a pediatric surgeon there," James said slowly. "Or I was. I transferred to Chicago Memorial 2 years ago." Sarah studied his face more carefully, the nagging sense of familiarity growing stronger. "Dr. James Harrington?" He nodded, surprise evident in his eyes. "You operated on Lily," Sarah whispered, memories flooding back. "She had a congenital heart defect. You performed the surgery when she was just 6 months old." James looked at Lily, who was now contentedly playing with the stuffed elephant, blissfully unaware of the extraordinary connection being uncovered beside her. "I remember," he said softly. "It was a complex procedure. One of the most challenging cases I'd handled that year." Sarah's eyes welled with tears. "You saved her life." The coincidence seemed too incredible to be true. Of all the flights, all the seats, all the possible arrangements, they had been placed side by side. "What brings you to Boston?" James asked, still processing the remarkable reunion. "Lily has her final follow-up appointment," Sarah explained. 5 years post-surgery. If everything looks good, she'll only need routine checkups from now on." "That's wonderful," James said, genuine warmth in his voice. "And quite a milestone." As the flight continued, they shared their stories. Sarah told him about raising Lily alone after her husband left, unable to handle the stress of having a child with medical issues. James spoke of his divorce 2 years ago, his ex-wife's resentment of his demanding schedule, and his decision to move to Chicago for a fresh start. "It's not easy," Sarah admitted. "Being everything for someone so small." "No," James agreed. "It's not. But it's worth it." Lily fell asleep against the window, still clutching Ellie the elephant. Sarah smiled at her daughter's peaceful face, then turned back to James. "I never got to properly thank you," she said. "After the surgery, everything was such a blur. You gave us a future." "I was just doing my job," James replied modestly. "No," Sarah insisted. "It was more than that. The way you explained everything, how you checked on her personally every day, you cared. That meant everything to us." The plane hit a patch of turbulence, jostling them slightly. Lily stirred but didn't wake. James steadied Sarah's drink before it could spill. "I left Boston because I was burning out," he confessed. "Losing too many patients, taking it too personally. I started to wonder if I was making any difference at all." Sarah reached out impulsively, placing her hand over his. "You made all the difference to us." Something shifted between them in that moment, a connection deeper than the coincidence of their meeting, a recognition of two souls who had weathered storms and emerged stronger. As the flight attendant announced their descent into Boston, James hesitated, then asked, "Would it be inappropriate if I offered to drive you to the hospital tomorrow? I'm heading there anyway to visit some former colleagues." Sarah smiled. "Not inappropriate at all. In fact, I think Lily would love to properly meet the man who fixed her heart." "It's a date, then," James said, then quickly corrected himself. "I mean, not a date, just." Sarah laughed, the sound bright and genuine. "I know what you meant. But maybe it could be. After the appointment?" James's smile reached his eyes, crinkling the corners in that familiar way. "I'd like that very much." As they landed in Boston, neither could shake the feeling that this chance encounter was somehow meant to be, that the universe had conspired to bring together a doctor who needed reminding of the lives he'd touched and a mother who'd never forgotten the man who gave her daughter a second chance. Lily woke as the plane touched down, still holding the stuffed elephant. "Can I keep Ellie?" she asked James sleepily. "Of course," he said. "She belongs with you now." Sarah watched the exchange, her heart full. 5 years ago, this man had literally held her daughter's heart in his hands. Now, through some miracle of fate and airline seating algorithms, he was here again, at exactly the moment they both needed someone who understood the journey they'd been on. Sometimes life's greatest gifts come disguised as coincidences. And sometimes, the people who save us once find ways to save us again. The next morning, as promised, James picked them up from their hotel. Lily, now fully aware of who he was, bombarded him with questions about her special heart and how he had fixed it. "Your heart was very brave," James told her as they walked into Boston Children's Hospital. "Just like you." The follow-up appointment went perfectly. Lily's heart was strong, developing normally, with no signs of complications. As the current cardiologist showed them the images, James stood in the background, professional but clearly moved by the outcome of his work from years ago. "She's going to have a completely normal life," the doctor announced. "No restrictions." Sarah couldn't hold back her tears. 5 years of worry, of counting medications, of waking in the night to check if Lily was still breathing, it was finally over. They had made it. Outside the hospital, Lily ran ahead to the small playground in the courtyard, her energy boundless, her future limitless. "Thank you for coming with us," Sarah said, watching her daughter climb fearlessly to the top of the slide. "It meant a lot to have you there." James turned to her, his expression serious. "Sarah, meeting you and Lily again, it's changed something for me. I've been going through the motions for so long, forgetting why I became a doctor in the first place. And why was that? She asked softly. To help write stories like Lily's, he said, watching the little girl laugh as she slid down. Happy endings. Sarah took his hand, no hesitation this time. Maybe this isn't an ending at all. Maybe it's a beginning. James squeezed her hand gently. I'm transferring back to Boston, he said suddenly. I made the decision this morning. My son is here, my work that matters is here, and now. Now? Sarah prompted. Now there's you and Lily, he finished. If you'll let me be part of your lives, even just as a friend. Sarah looked up at him, at this man who had already given her the most precious gift once before. I think we could be more than friends, Dr. Harrington. I'd like that very much, Ms. Matthews, he replied, his smile reaching his eyes. As they watched Lily play, both felt the extraordinary weight of the moment, how a random airline seating assignment had reunited a doctor with the patient who needed him to see his impact, and a single mother with the man who had once saved her world and might now become part of it. Sometimes miracles don't announce themselves with fanfare. Sometimes they arrive in seat 14C on a Tuesday afternoon flight, disguised as coincidence but carrying the unmistakable fingerprints of fate. And sometimes, the hearts we heal find their way back to us, offering a second chance at happiness we never saw coming. 6 months later, Sarah and Lily moved to Boston. 1 year after that, on the anniversary of their chance meeting on Flight 2187, James proposed. Max and Lily, now the best of friends, served as ring bearer and flower girl at the wedding. And Ellie the elephant sat in a place of honor, a reminder that sometimes the most important journeys of our lives begin with a single act of kindness at 30,000 feet. Life doesn't always give us what we want. Sometimes, if we're very lucky, it gives us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it, even if we don't recognize it until we're sitting right beside it.